We got a blockbuster Adam Schefter report that apparently the Baltimore Ravens were ready to draft Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, but before they were able to turn the card in, Shedeur Sanders let it be known that he did not want to go to Baltimore to be the backup behind Lamar Jackson.
Consensus had been reached. The Baltimore Ravens, were planning to select Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round with the 141st overall selection. But when he found out, he got word back to the Ravens that he preferred not to go to a place where he would be competing and backing up Lamar Jackson. He wanted to be in a place that he could play. And so when the Ravens got that message, they pivoted, went a different direction with the 141st overall selection. And 3 picks later, the Cleveland Browns selected Shedeur Sanders, who will be in Baltimore today, where he could have been spending his NFL career if he were willing to back up.
This story right here is one of the most shocking, most controversial, and most dramatic moments of the 2025 NFL draft season. If you thought Shedeur Sanders' journey to the NFL was going to be quiet, clean, and predictable, think again. Because the headlines today are not about how Shedeur became a Cleveland Brown. No. They're about how Shedeur Sanders rejected the Baltimore Ravens, one of the most stable organizations in the league, and in doing so, set himself on a path filled with both opportunity and enormous risk.
Really short-sighted. Like, if you're in this situation, you want to go to an organization that is going to develop you, right? Here you have the Baltimore Ravens, the model of stability in the NFL.
But before we dive all the way in, let me just say this. If you're new here, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment down below. And if you're riding with Shedeur Sanders no matter what, I want to see the comments flooded with SS 100%. Let's get this rolling, because today's debate, it's nothing short of explosive.
You trade Shedeur Sanders. You clearly are not sold on him right now. You're not sold on the progress that he's making, even though you're saying, hey, we're happy with where he's at.
I'm going to be livid if it goes down, by the way.
Shedeur says no to Baltimore. At the NFL Draft, Round 5, Pick 141, the Baltimore Ravens had a plan. According to Adam Schefter, the Ravens were set, completely ready to select Shedeur Sanders with that pick. Think about that for a second. Shedeur Sanders, Lamar Jackson, and the Baltimore Ravens, a franchise with stability, tradition, and a proven track record for developing quarterbacks. But at the last moment, word came back from Shedeur's camp. He didn't want to go.
I'm hearing Shedeur is not even running scout team. He's literally watching everyone play. Bailey Zappi's running scout team. I don't know if that's true. That's what I'm hearing. Why is he on the team? Why is he even here? If that's what you think about, because his jersey is selling, the Haslam's don't need jersey money.
Why? Because he didn't want to sit behind Lamar Jackson. Shedeur didn't want to spend the next 4 years carrying a clipboard, hoping for scraps of garbage time minutes, watching Lamar dominate while his own career stood still. Instead, he wanted an opportunity to compete, to play, to carve his path as a starter right away. And so, the Ravens pivoted. They drafted someone else. Just 3 picks later, the Cleveland Browns swooped in, grabbed Shedeur, and gave him the landing spot he wanted. From the outside, it looks like Shedeur engineered his own destiny. But was it the right call? Or was it, as one analyst put it, incredibly short-sighted? Let's start with what Shedeur turned down: the Baltimore Ravens. This is an organization that's been the definition of stability for decades. John Harbaugh has been the head coach since 2008. The front office, rock solid. The system, proven. And when it comes to developing quarterbacks, they've done it. Joe Flacco, Super Bowl MVP. Lamar Jackson, League MVP.
Dolphin fans are ready for a change under center after a dreadful start. They want Shedeur Sanders traded to the Dolphins. Should Miami make a new move, Ocho?
To many, this was the dream scenario. A young quarterback drafted in the 5th round gets the chance to sit, learn, and develop behind one of the most unique and talented quarterbacks in NFL history. There's no rush, no panic, no desperate need to throw him into the fire. Imagine what Shedeur could have learned watching Lamar. How to extend plays, how to thrive under pressure, how to command a locker room. The blueprint was right there in front of him. But Shedeur didn't want the blueprint. He wanted the spotlight. And that's why critics are lining up today to call his decision a mistake. During the NFL Countdown segment, one analyst didn't hold back. He flat out called it incredibly short-sighted. You're in the 5th round. You're supposed to be humble, ready to learn. Instead, you're thinking about starting next year? That's crazy.
Browns is the Browns. This is the most hype they've ever had. Like, it's the Browns.
Exactly.
So, he got drafted to the wrong team. That's Sanders' name. I'm telling you right now, there's only one person that understands business, and he will trade his quarterback for Sanders. Dallas is where Sanders is going to be.
Wow.
Because that name on the back of that jersey is legacy, and he's going to want that to ring bells around the globe. Jerry is going to have him.
The argument is simple. When you fall to the 5th round, you're no longer in control. You don't get to dictate where you go. You need to embrace whatever opportunity comes your way and make the best of it. And if there was any organization where you'd want to fall, it's the Ravens. Stability, a track record, a culture of winning. For a young quarterback, there's nothing more valuable than time to develop without the pressure of being thrown into a broken situation. By rejecting Baltimore, Shedeur didn't just turn down a team. He turned down one of the best developmental environments in the NFL. But let's flip the coin. Let's step into Shedeur's shoes. Imagine being Shedeur Sanders. All your life, you've been Prime's son. At Jackson State, then Colorado, you built your own legacy. You threw touchdowns, you carried program, you embraced the spotlight. You didn't come to the NFL to sit. You came to play. So when Baltimore calls, you think, why would I sit behind Lamar for the next decade? He's not going anywhere. That's not my path. Instead, you see the Cleveland Browns, a team with Joe Flacco, a legend but 40 years old and on borrowed time. A team with Dylan Gabriel, talented but unproven. A team where, if you show out in practice, if you dominate preseason, you can earn snaps, maybe even a starting job. And isn't that what this is all about? Opportunity? Teddy Bruschi on the panel understood it. He said, I want to go to a team where I can compete to be a starter. Lamar's there forever. You're never playing in Baltimore.
Do you think it's far-fetched to assume the Niners trade Purdy to want to pay him, that $55-60 million contract and then trade up to go get Shedeur?
Okay, hold on a second. Would you want to do that? Are you counseling that for that to happen?
No, I personally don't. No, but it's been talked about here locally.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's the gamble Shedeur took. Forget the safe route. Forget the clipboard. Bet on yourself. But here's where things get messy. The Cleveland Browns are not the Baltimore Ravens. Where Baltimore is stability, Cleveland is chaos. The numbers don't lie. Over 30 starting quarterbacks in just 20 years. From Brady Quinn to Johnny Manziel, from Deshaun Kaiser to Baker Mayfield, the Browns have been the NFL's quarterback carousel. And let's not forget what they did to Baker. Drafted number 1 overall, took them to the playoffs, won a playoff game, then tossed aside like yesterday's news. Today, Baker is thriving in Tampa Bay. He even led the league in touchdown passes last season. Meanwhile, Cleveland is still searching for the guy. So the question becomes, did Shedeur just walk into a quarterback graveyard, or did he seize a golden ticket? On one hand, he might get the chance to play sooner than later. On the other, if he fails in Cleveland's unstable environment, it could tank his career before it even gets off the ground. The rookie contract reality. As a 5th-round pick, Shedeur signed a 3-year rookie deal. The clock is ticking. Within those 3 years, he has to prove he belongs. In Baltimore, he probably wouldn't have played. Lamar's the guy. Maybe preseason reps, maybe mop-up duty, but no real action. By the time the contract ended, he'd still be unproven, but developed, polished, and ready for a second chance. In Cleveland, he could be on the field this year. But with that comes risk. Bad offensive line, bad scheme, poor results. Suddenly you've got tape out there that teams don't like. You get labeled as not ready or not good enough. And once that label sticks, it's almost impossible to shake. So this is the trade-off Shedeur made. Development versus opportunity. We can't ignore the human side of this. Shedeur Sanders didn't come into the draft thinking of himself as a 5th-round pick. He thought he was a 1st-rounder. He thought he was one of the best quarterbacks available. He thought teams made a mistake letting him fall that far. So when the Ravens came calling, essentially saying, sit for 4 years, then maybe you'll play. How do you think that sounded to him? Like another insult. Like another reason to prove everybody wrong. In Cleveland, the message was different. Come here, compete, and maybe you'll get your shot. That's all Shedeur wanted to hear. And if you know anything about the Sanders family, you know they don't back down from challenges. They run straight at them. Could he be right? Now here's the twist. What if Shedeur's gamble works? What if, by the end of this season, Joe Flacco is banged up, Dylan Gabriel is inconsistent, and Shedeur steps in and shines? What if the short-sighted move actually turns into the smartest play of his life? Remember, the same things were said about Lamar Jackson when he entered the league. He can't throw. He won't last. He should change positions. And yet here we are, talking about an MVP and a franchise cornerstone. What if Shedeur follows a similar path? What if Cleveland, of all places, finally finds its quarterback in prime Son? Changing the narrative. At the end of the day, this is bigger than just football. This is about power. About players refusing to accept their fate as just another draft pick. About carving your own path, even if it's risky. Shedeur Sanders didn't just let the draft play out. He spoke up. He made a choice. He turned down a franchise that wanted him because he believed in himself enough to chase a harder road. And whether you agree with it or not, you have to respect it. Because that confidence, that fire, that's what greatness is built on. So, was Shedeur Sanders incredibly short-sighted for rejecting the Ravens? Or was he bold, fearless, and betting on himself the only way he knows how? Time will tell. But one thing is certain. This decision will define his career. If he fails, people will point back to this moment and say, see, he should have gone to Baltimore. But if he succeeds, if he lights it up in Cleveland, then this will go down as the moment Shedeur Sanders proved the world wrong. And that's the story, folks. What do you think? Did Shedeur make a huge mistake? Or is he playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive commentary like this. And if you believe in Shedeur Sanders, let me see those comments. SS 100%. Because love him or hate him, this young man is already rewriting the rules.